Hello and welcome to today's episode of Margin in Focus. This podcast where we talk about the people and the stories that are often left out. I'm your host, Zehra and the Senior Research Associate at South Asia Research Institute for Minorities. Today, we are talking about a topic that doesn't get enough attention but affect many lives in South Asia, and that is caste. Our episode is called Counting the Unseen, Why Caste Census Matters. And we are pleased to have with us Mr. Nadira Pervin, Program Manager at Nagorik Uddyog, a right-based organization in Bangladesh that works for dignity and social justice. Nadira has years of experience working on issues like caste, women, discrimination, and equality. We are excited to learn from her today. Thank you for joining. How are you, Ms. Nadira?
Thank you.
Nadira, could you please tell us about yourself, your work, and we will love to hear about your experience working in this field.
Thank you, Zehra, for inviting me. And I'm so glad there is a discussion session. And I have been invited by you to share my experience and country context of Bangladesh, where around 6.5 million people who are called Dalit living in this country, and we have as a Nagorik Uddyog have long experience since 2006. They are working to promote and make them visible in the development discourse. Also, trying to bring their issue in attention of the policymakers and other civil society organizations to establish their rights as a human rights.
Thank you for sharing your experiences and work expertise. So, to begin with, could you please help our listeners to understand how caste plays a role in Bangladeshi society, even though it's not discussed openly?
Okay, thank you, Zehra. Every country has the constitution for the citizen to ensure the equal rights and other fundamental to establish the fundamental rights and basic need also to make the country accountable to their citizen. Because we say always, our country is our responsibility to ensure some minimum necessities, to fulfill the minimum necessities. But in our country, there is a clause, Article 27, that ensures equality for all citizens, irrespective of sex, sexual preference, or casteism, or gender identity. Having said that, but already I mentioned around 6.5 million. According to long-term, there is a statistics. We have 6.5 million Dalit people in our country. And despite our constitutional guarantees of equality, but there is a lack of recognition because the people, 6.5 million people, they are, if you look at the scenario, or there some incident happened in our country, because we have directly working with them, not for them, working with them. So we know there is an untouchability, occupational discrimination, and structural social exclusion. So they are leaving behind. There is a full motto of SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. And the main goal or motto is no one leaving behind. But the population who are called Dalit, they are being left over from the development discourse. And today's topic is why caste census is matter, counting the unseen. So it is very feasible and it is essential topic to be heard and to be talked about by the people like you and me.
Yes.
And the article of our Constitution 27, we ensure the equality, but there is some incident. For example, in our countries, there is untouchability is huge. If you visit some area where the Dalit community people are living in the public space, in the tea shop, when other people goes and the Dalit community people goes, so there is a separate seating place, and in the shop there is a separate cup. They will offer for the Dalit people and people. This is the symbolize. Some northern areas, drought-prone areas, water crisis and drinking safe water is a big issue in the southern part because salinity is there. But there are some reserve pond for drinking water. But Dalit people are not allowed to bring water from them because untouchable, because they are the lower caste. And for the school, there is a government school, but there is a designated backside to bench for the Dalit community because other Hindus communities people and mainstreaming people, they're not ready to sit in the same.
Yeah.
This is the reality. But we have constitutional guarantee for the equality. The practice is different. And if we consider this issue from the gender lens, women's right lens, then women from the Dalit community undergo double marginality.
Yeah.
As a Dalit woman, and secondly for the
minority as
for their caste.
yeah.
But whatever these are the scenario from the society and the marriage. There is a subcaste in Dalit community for Robi Das, who work shoes and other caste, Horizon also, cleaner also. And Robi Das, for example, Robi Das is a little bit higher than the other cleaners. But intercaste marriage, if happens, then Robi Das people will not accept that marriage. So intercaste issue also there, and poverty and employment, because it is expected, for the government job. There, after the written viva, then police clearance. And they ask for the permanent address. But most of the Dalit community people in Bangladesh, they are landless. So it is one of the struggle to have the government job and job out of their traditional profession, because most are the cleaner job, and it is expected by the society. Your father was cleaner, so you will be cleaner. So that's why that also one of the struggle, and land dispute, as I mentioned already, and also the most of the Dalit people are belong to the Hindu community. In their Hindu religion, there is also a hierarchy and low caste. So internal also what I say, oppression, suppression, and discrimination also belong to in the same periphery. And political marginalization also there.
Yeah.
That is important because, I must mention Moni Rani Das. She is the prominent Dalit woman leader in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
She formed a organization. It is called Dalit Women Forum. Last 2 times we nominated her name as a parliament member for the reservation seat, because we have already reservation allocation in the provision, parliamentary provision. So that with the aiming, if there is a person from the Dalit community, she will speak on behalf of their community.
Yeah.
No need to people like Nadira or Zehra to speak about the Dalit community in Pakistan and Bangladesh. But the thing is that yet we could not perceive that much, but to be in the parliament. But we hope so. We are dreaming so. Yeah. There will be someone in coming future from the Dalit community, young leader. If Monidi could not make it in her lifetime, there will be someone, because process already been started there. But the problem is, if you pursue and do advocacy to see someone, but need to be someone who has the real knowledge to represent their community, to bring the issue, because the parliament is policymakers' platform, is the highest parliamentarian.
Yeah.
But the process to be included in the political process, we call them as a seasonal politician. The opportunity is very few. But we are doing advocacy, and we are trying to the mainstreaming political party. Ruling party was Awami League and BMP and other left communities. In the election manifesto, clearly mention about Dalit issue. And you should nominate 2 or 3%, minimum 1% as a candidate from your party. So that process is that is the affirmative action we call. Once the situation we dream, the situation will be improved, then no quota will be.
Yeah.
Will not be.
I totally agree with you. What you say, it's totally right. So, having said that, why do you think caste census is important in Bangladesh? If the caste-based data were collected officially, does it make difference for minority like Dalits?
Thank you for the good question, and I think it is very much essential because sometimes they are initially in our government document, it was marginalized community.
Yeah.
When you call marginalized community, the gypsy man also marginalized community, tea garden also marginalized community, fisher folk also marginalized community. And then if you, it's a collective number of people. So, we through work, we face the reality. We must have the ethnic minority also have Adivasi community. So it is good to have, and it is the time to have the census of Dalit community. Then there will be clear figure of the population in that community. Because, then a caste census would expose the accurate number of that community that will help to lobby with policymakers, because we have national program like social welfare program under the safety net program, whatever you call, for the old age allowance, for the disability allowance, and particularly for the so there are some schemes. So if there is a actual number of the population, so you can provide the concrete suggestion. So you need that. And for the reservation quota also, you can pursue easily. For that. Otherwise, socially excluded community, marginalized community. In India, popularly they say OBC. So these are the name we call. And very precisely, I can tell you the counting census is very important officially, because then uncounted people will be counted, and you can pursue their issue in the national budget program, for the school program, for the health program, for the special. There we have some good scheme implemented by the government. For example, health medical support. There are 5 categories, 50,000 taka. It is a government support. But for the marginalized community, they will get the priority. And Dalit people, if there is a specific identity, then they get the priority. Otherwise, they will be treated as a common people like you and me. And as they are socially isolated, they have not a strong voice like you and me to pursue. Otherwise, they can show the card. That is the proof. They are the, And also, wage gap is huge. They are isolated. Easily you can purchase with less amount their service. And also the untouchability issue. Now, as human rights organization, we do in some area, with our limited scope and research, we to see the total population of Dalit community in our working area, what we observe. And then we drafted an act that is anti-discriminatory act based on the caste, sexual preference, or issue. And now we are doing advocacy for a long time. we placed it to Law Commission, parliamentarian member, so that they have something legal document. If they are being discriminated or being the victim of violence, so that they can sue for the legal option. And national budget.
Yeah.
So whenever if you want to do advocacy for the educational stipend for the poor people, particularly for the tea garden worker or Dalit community, then you need to know the number. Otherwise, they will throw counter question to you. You are demanding 2 crore taka allocation for the Dalit women girls education for that. Why for? What is the basis of asking for 2 crore money? So that is very important by that. So, and I think civil society, human rights activists, they need to play. They can play and they must play the role to bring to the Bangladesh census authority to when they will do the countrywide population census, put Dalit issue so that they can calculate. Need to add an extra question.
Thank you for breaking it down so clearly. And finally, Nadira, if you had a message for decision maker whenever the Bangladesh or globally, what would you say about why it's time to count the caste system seriously?
Thank you. It's a good question. And as I'm working as a program manager, and my thematic area is promoting and protecting the rights of Dalit women, particularly Dalit women and girls. The area is. I think caste identity is very important. Like people with disability. Think, people with disability, why it is needed? I am the disabled person and I need to recognition. It is absolutely recognition. The country is accepting. I have that category of population. That's main, and for their greater inclusion in the development discourse and the policy issues and the ensure representation in different platforms. First census is main thing that we are recognizing their presence in our country. Then second thing, inclusion and ensure the inclusion and participation in different fora. And SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. So we are telling no one leaving behind. So for development discourse, their participation also important. And also listen their issue. If we ignore them, then we are not going to listen them. So when I said we have Adivashi indigenous community, then we'll bring their issue in our development and development plan also. So it is needed. And also marginalized community, when we declare the quota, if I know that number of people is there, then they will be under quota system as a positive it is not only affirmative. So it is a response, it is a national responsibility to the discrimination happen for generation by generation against them. That is the, and also allocation budget in the national budget for some special activities, welfare activities to promote their status, condition, to upliftment their status in the society, for education, for the employment, for the skill development, so that they can, if they wish, they can have skill to get other job beyond their traditional job. And political employment as well. Political empowerment is necessary.
Yeah.
But one thing, it is not least but last for this episode, globally there is a terminology.
Okay.
Community discriminated based on work and descent. So they are globally called CDWD.
WD.
So not
Yes.
only Dalit. So that because we are calling Dalit, India is calling Dalit, other people, Brazil, Boraka, and other Japan. In Japan, they have another name to call the people who are being discriminated based on their caste or profession. So globally, there is a CD communities discriminated based on work and descent. CDWD.
Thank you, Nadira. That's a strong and necessary message to the audience, of course. Thank you so much, Nadira, for sharing your time, your clarity, your powerful insights. It's been a real reminder that visibility is the first step toward justice, and counting the unseen is not necessary, it's urgent. To our listeners, thank you for joining. Be sure you listen this podcast, Margin in Focus, and stay tuned for other conversations. Until next time, thank you so much, Nadira, for joining this. We look forward to you in next episode and next conversation also.
Thank you so much, Zehra, for inviting me as a speaker. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Looking forward. Thank you.
Yeah,
Take care.
my
Bye.
pleasure, my pleasure. Okay, bye bye.